Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are demystifying the world of data engineering. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll see it's a lot like being a master chef. Okay, let's dive right in.
So just think about the incredible amount of data being generated every single second. In its raw form, it's kind of like a pile of uncooked ingredients. It's not very useful, right? I mean, sure, you could eat a raw potato, but it's hard to digest, and you definitely wouldn't pay top dollar for it at a restaurant. But what if we could turn it into a gourmet meal? Something organized, valuable, and actually ready to be enjoyed.
And that, right there, is exactly what data engineering is all about. It's this perfect mix of art and science, taking those raw data ingredients and turning them into something valuable, something digestible for the business. The data engineer, they're the master chef in the kitchen of data, making sure every single insight delivered is absolutely perfect.
So in this explainer, we're going to follow that entire journey, all the way from raw ingredient to the finished dish. Let's take a quick look at our menu for today. We'll start in the kitchen, then we'll source our ingredients, do some cooking with code, serve the final dish, automate the whole process, and finally, really understand why this foundation is so incredibly important.
You know, every great chef has a system, right? A workflow that turns all that chaos into something clear and delicious. Well, in data engineering, this kitchen workflow really rests on three fundamental pillars. Let's break them down.
First up, data is produced. You can think of this as the farm-to-table delivery of raw information. Then it's transformed. This is where the real cooking happens. The data gets chopped, seasoned, and combined into something truly useful. And finally, it's served to the stakeholders. They are the diners who can make big decisions with it. So remember, production, transformation, and serving. Okay, so where do all these raw ingredients even come from? Well, they come from systems that are designed for day-to-day operations. These are the systems that run the business, not the ones built to analyze it. And that's a really key distinction. And what's super interesting here is the difference between what we call OLTP and OLAP systems. Just think of OLTP as the super fast supermarket checkout line. It's all about processing tons of small transactions really quickly. Every click, every purchase, it's built for speed. OLAP, on the other hand, is like the perfectly organized restaurant pantry. It's designed for analysts to quickly find and analyze huge amounts of historical ingredients to spot trends and patterns.
Every chef needs their tools, right? Knives, pans, ovens, you get the picture. In data engineering, our main tools are code. They're what we use to chop, mix, and cook the data. So let's look at what I like to call the holy trinity of the data engineer's kitchen.
First up is Python. Honestly, it's the ultimate Swiss Army knife. It can handle pretty much any task you throw at it in the data kitchen. We use it to write the recipes, the scripts that automate that whole process of moving and transforming data from one place to another. Next, we have SQL. This is the universal language for talking to databases. It's how you ask for your ingredients. If you want to say, hey, database, give me all the sales from last Tuesday in the Northeast region, you're going to say it in SQL. It's absolutely essential for grabbing exactly what you need. And finally, Docker. This tool is kind of like a portable pop-up kitchen. It packages all your code, your tools, and your recipes together into this neat little container. And what that does is it guarantees that your entire data process runs the exact same way no matter where you set it up. It totally gets rid of that classic, but it worked on my machine problem.
Okay, so once the dish is cooked, presentation is everything. I mean, it really is. The data needs to be stored and served in a way that's super easy for other people to consume. And for that, data engineers have two main types of serving platters.
And this comparison just illustrates it perfectly. The two main serving platters are the data warehouse and the data lake. A warehouse, that's like a curated menu with structured, ready-to-eat dishes, perfect for business reports. A data lake, though, that's like a giant walk-in freezer. You store all the ingredients in their raw form, ready for data scientists to create any kind of recipe they can dream up in the future. But just having a serving platter isn't enough. How do we actually organize the data on the plate? For that, we use this really powerful technique called dimensional modeling to create a structure that's simple and really intuitive to use. And it's basically a simple three-step recipe. First, you isolate the core numbers, the metrics you actually want to measure. We call these facts. Then, you gather all the context around those numbers, the who, what, where, and when. Those are the dimensions. And finally, you just link them together. And boom,
You've created a model that's super easy to slice and dice for analysis.
Now, a great chef doesn't cook every single meal from scratch every single time. That would be incredibly inefficient, right? No, they build an efficient, automated assembly line. And in our world, that's what we call a data pipeline.
The modern kitchen line has actually seen a pretty big shift. We now favor something called an ELT pipeline. That's extract, load, and then transform. We extract the raw ingredients, we load them straight into our big pantry, the data warehouse, and then we do all the cooking and preparation right there inside it. This takes advantage of the massive power of modern cloud warehouses, and it is incredibly efficient.
And this whole thing is done with a suite of really powerful tools. Python handles the extract and load. A tool called dbt is just amazing for the transformation part. It lets analysts build these super reliable models using only SQL. And then a tool like Airflow acts as the head chef, the orchestrator, scheduling the entire workflow and making sure every step happens in the right order at the right time every single day.
So, why does all this matter? Why go through all the trouble of building these complex kitchens and these automated assembly lines?
Well, because without the work of the data engineer, all that raw data is just unusable noise. It's a messy pile of ingredients with absolutely no recipe. Data engineers are the ones who build the reliable, trustworthy foundation that all data analysis, all business intelligence, and all modern machine learning rests on.
And this chart just brings that value chain to life, doesn't it? Data engineers take this low-value raw material, and through their meticulous process of cleaning, transforming, and modeling, they create high-value, actionable insights. They literally cook value out of raw bits and bytes, which lets organizations make smarter decisions that drive real progress.
So as we wrap up, I'll just leave you with this thought. If data really is the most critical ingredient of our time, shaping everything from business to science, then the role of the data chef, the person who sources, prepares, and serves that ingredient, has never been more important. They're not just moving data around, they're actually building the future.